Hi guys, welcome to another Guild Ball Informer video. I'm quite excited today. You're joined just by me, and this hopefully is the start of a new series of videos coming to the Guild Ball Informer YouTube channel. I'm going to have them as sort of Chris Hayes hobby video log. So what I'm sort of keen to do is to look more at the hobby side of Guild Ball specifically, as it's a Guild Ball channel, and just go through some of the things that I've been up to every week and show you some painting, show you some of the teams that I've painted up. I'm very keen, and I've been thinking about this for a while, because as you'll have seen on our channel, there's some paint tutorials and things up from James from Idrisul Painting. Now James is a fantastic painter, but he is a commission painter, and all of his work is well beyond the mere mortals of the world like me and potentially some of you viewers. So I just wanted to sort of put out a sort of layman's normal average Joe version of a painting blog, just to show vlog, just to show what the normal person can achieve. I am by no means a good painter. I think I'm pretty average, but the one thing that I do is I do paint teams fairly quickly and paint players fairly quickly. It has been known that I can paint a team sort of in a weekend. I tend to spend 1 or 2 hours on a model just to get them to tabletop standard. So this video is kind of more for beginners trying to get into the hobby. Anyone interested in Guild Ball, you get to see my teams, get to see my setup. You're here in my hobby dungeon, the Guild Ball Informer dungeon. So this is my space at home. I'm very lucky to have. So you'll see the videos coming from here, and also I'll probably just have a chat about if there's any topical things that are coming up that are talked about on the forums, anything that I've seen. Any questions we've had in the question and answer show that you guys raised that I think that maybe it would be good to have a bit more of a deeper discussion on if we don't get a chance on the show. So anything like that, it's just a bit of a bits and bobs video. I'm planning on it only being between sort of 5 and 20 minutes every week, so just a very little snippet into my world and my Guild Ball life, if that's what people want to see. So please comment, share, subscribe and like this if you do, and let me know what it is you'd like to see. As mentioned, I've actually painted 10 Guild Ball teams now. I only own 6 painted because the other ones that I've done are now owned by Jay Finnegan, Mr. Guild Ball Informer himself, and also I sold a Mortician's team early in my Guild Ball life. So if anybody's interested in seeing pictures and stuff, I have a forum thread on the Steamforge forums, so it's C. Hayes Guild Ball by the Sea if you want to have a look. It's actually only got about half of the teams on, because when they switched the forums over, it lost a couple of months worth of content, which I've not posted back up. But you'll get to see all of the teams I've painted coming up in this video, so I'll do a quick scan of them all, and we'll go from there. So I hope you enjoy. Let me know if this is the sort of thing you'd like to see. As I've mentioned, I'm by no means a good painter at all. I'm just a normal guy, a normal painter, so hopefully the things that you'll see, you'll be able to achieve. I'll run through the sort of things that I use, the brushes I use, the paints I use. There's nothing special. I don't use any wet palettes or airbrushes or anything like that, so it literally is just undercoat, base coat. I'll show you what I do, and then a wash and maybe a bit of highlighting, and then that's it. So yeah, I'll come back when I've laid all my teams out, and you'll get to see the extent of my addiction to Guild Ball, and yeah, we'll go from there. Cheers guys. So welcome back. Firstly, before we get into any of the teams in detail, this is the extent of my teams here. So there's actually all 8 teams represented in some form. We've got the Fishermen bottom right, we've got the Masons just up from them on the right, then we've got Morticians going along the back, Butchers, Brewers, which are one of the teams I've not painted yet, back left. Coming down middle left is my Union, bottom left is the start of Engineers, and then right in the middle is the Alchemists I've recently painted. So I'll set them all up by team and then go through each model in turn, just so that you can see the paint jobs that I've done on them. So fittingly, first up we have my Union. So here you're looking at the Kickstarter Blackheart. Apologies for the light, it's not particularly great at showing off the models, but you get the idea. So this is my Kickstarter Blackheart stood there up straight. Next to him we've got the retail Blackheart, looking a bit bloody there. Next to him is Gutter, and then Coin, Rage. So you see I go for sort of a dirty, murky sort of more realistic view of players, not particularly bright or cheerful. And then we've got Snakeskin with a snake on the base. Then we've got Minx. Now Minx is one of 2 resin models that I own. At the moment I have tended to go for the metal. I think going forward I am keener to go for resin. They're so beautiful, beautifully sculpted now. The only thing that puts me off is any models that have pointy out sticky bits, because they tend to bend in resin or snap completely. As you can see here on Minx, she's supposed to have an axe in her right hand, but during transportation that's snapped off, so I've done without now, and that doesn't tend to happen for me with metals. And then moving on we have Fangtooth, everybody's favourite gluttonous mass. Next to him we've got Avarice and Greed, and then Greed on his own on the floor, followed by Decimate, the woman Decimate, people keep getting mistaken, and then the man Mist, and then finally we have Hemlock. So that's my Union. There you go. Quick back along them, and then I'll come back with the next team on the list. So next up we have the Butchers. So we have Ox here on the captain on the end, and then next to him I've just posed Boiler slightly differently. I've tried to do it so that it looks like he's mimicking Ox, because he always looks up to Ox and he wants to be like him. So that's why I've gone different to the normal people that have his arm down on the floor looking like he's jumping over a rock. And then next to him we've got Princess. So these 2 actually remind me of sort of Dennis the Menace and his dog. So I think that's quite cute. We've got Brisket next along the line, and then we have Meat Hook there. Everybody's favourite Furious model. We've got Boar looking suitably ferocious, and then Shank, and surprisingly with all his chains intact. The number of models that I've seen with the chains snapped off, it's a miracle that this model transports, especially in the metal, but he is still intact there. And then finally we have Tenderizer. Now again I've tried to pose him slightly differently to everybody else's that you see. Everyone else's sculpts tend to have his big Tenderizer cleaver on the floor and him sticking up in the air, a bit like a Toto from Malifaux. So I've gone for something different. I've tried to make him to make a little bit look like a hammer thrower. So he's actually on the floor trying to swing his massive mallet round to smack somebody. Or just get in. He's got a bit more on his mask. So there. So I hope you like that. That's my take on Butchers. Again, it's kind of a bit more of a dirty, murky, realistic paint job. That's sort of how I paint, so you won't see that many bright colours. The other reason I forgot to mention in the intro of why I wanted to do a blog like this was you see a lot of really good painters on the forums and on Facebook groups, on the Guild Ball supporters channel, and on the Guild Ball players group, the Guild Ball informer group, that are just fantastic paint jobs, and I'm keen that people don't get put off Guild Ball and put off the hobby from seeing such fantastic paint jobs, because it is very, very straightforward as far as I'm concerned to get models to tabletop standard like this. It really doesn't take too much effort, and I know people have busy lives, and I'm very fortunate with the amount of time I get to spend on hobby, but I think that it is achievable. So if I can help at all by showing people what I do and how I achieve those results, then hopefully that will benefit someone. Next up we have my fishermen. So this is Captain Shark. So I don't have the Kickstarter exclusive, only the retail version. So this is him with his stabby stick, looking like he's running along. And I've made custom bases for these, very simple. Literally just bits of stirrers from Starbucks that I've stolen and just snapped up and made some little sort of ladder base things for him. And then we've got Salt, if I can get in close enough. So we've got Salt next to him, again on just a custom base. Then we have Jack. So I absolutely love this model. I think he's a fantastic sculpt, even with a bit of blood on the back on his bandage coming down there. Next to him we have Angel, again another absolutely beautiful model. So I think she's gorgeous. So again, very murky and dirty looking, not as bright as some of the ones that you've probably seen on the forums. Siren. Next along the line, and then new season 2 Sakana. So if anyone of you saw Steamforged News, I was actually fortunate enough to win the first painting competition for season 2, which was with this Sakana. So hopefully people like him. And then next to him I have, most people probably haven't seen, a converted Gutter. So this is the Gutter model that's been tweaked slightly, new head. And new chain and no cloak. I'll probably touch on conversions that I've done in a future episode, so we won't look too much into them, but I like to sort of change up my Union models if I've used them in other teams. Then we have Kraken. Fantastic. I've actually free-handed a little, not on him, sorry. It's on the next one. So next along the line is again converted Kraken. The problem I have though is because of these conversions, I actually have 2 or 3 of most Union models. So he looks a little different to the normal one. And this was what I wanted to show you, just on his back. I've done a little tattoo. Again, nothing special, just base coats and washes mainly. And the custom bases, so that's my fisherman. Next up are the Spooks, the Morticians. So I'll whiz along the line here because these are all sort of monochrome. This was a very quick paint job that I did on these, so just dry brushed white or greys up to white and then picked out the pinky purple. So you've got Obulus there, you've got Ghast with his mask, and then you've got Casket, you've got Cosset, everybody's favourite crazy Victoria Beckham, you've got Silence, you've got Minx, in metal this time. You've got Rage. Look at him. What an amazing model. And then you've got Dirge. Another Fangtooth. So this will be the third one you'll have seen. Then I've got another Mist for my Morticians. And finally I've got Graves, who I need to get around to painting. Didn't feature in the tournament list that I took. And a very quick view at the back, that's my goal for Morticians. I will touch on goals that I've done at the end of this video, so you'll see that again. Next up we have the Masons. So we've got Captain Honor on the end. She's leaning on a rock, looking like she's sort of diving around the rock. If I'm honest, that was more to keep the model upright with her tiny ankle joint rather than anything else. And then we've got Marbles with a bit of a blue bum next to her. And her little sister, Harmony. And then we've got Mallet, followed by Flint and Tower, who will probably get seen a lot more now that Chisel is around. So we have Chisel on the end, season 2 model. So those two synergize very well together. But again, I love this model. Reminds me of the Angel's model. Sort of very cute looking, but she can do a surprising amount of damage compared to Angel, so watch out for her. As you probably noticed as well, base wise, apart from the Fishermen, I've done them all relatively similar. I've done just little bits of rock rubble and some slate, just so that with some of the Union models I have, I can mix them into teams without them looking too unusual, and having them on, if I make a display board of rubble, they'll all sit on it quite nicely. So next up we have my Alchemists. So this is the team that I've recently started playing more after my union. So we've got Midas here. This is the Kickstarter one, I believe. So he's an absolutely lovely model again. So his arm carrying some sort of a precious rock or stone there, and his arm turning into gold. And then we have my converted Midas. So this is for that wonderful time when the opponent player puts down somebody with Scything Blow, and I managed to true replicate Scything Blow. So I'll probably start with this Midas on the table, and then when I get to true replicate Scything Blow, out comes Terminator Midas with a converted Scything Blow arm. So hopefully you guys like that. Then we have Flask. So just carrying lots of little chemicals around. Calculus. There again, I do like her for her abilities. Then we've got Mercury, the Fireball. I do really like his model as well. I wish that he was more than 1-4. I know he is 2-4 with Flask or 2-5 with Flask, but I think that lets him down a little bit. And then next coming up is my other resin model I have at the moment, which is the new Season 2 Compound. Now I've actually done a bit of conversion on him as well. Because the plan at the moment is only to really play him with Alchemists, I've replaced both his arms so that he looks more Alchemist, because the current arms that he had were very engineer-like, lots of wood. So I've sort of converted him so he looks like he's getting poisoned, venin poisoning them up. The only bit I'm not too happy about is the side of his arm. I did want it to look sort of like chemicals had melted, poison had melted his arm, but it just looks a bit naff at the moment, so I'll probably change that. Again, if I do an episode on conversions, we'll go into it in a bit more detail. Next to him, I've started painting Venin. So his backpack's done a little bit, and then his arm, because he has an ability to turn poisoned models bleeding as well. So I've done the poison that he's holding to start to turn into blood as well. Hopefully he'll come up nice. And then lastly, we have Catalyst, who again I've just started, but hopefully we'll finish him up fairly soon. So that'll be nice. So now we have the two teams that I've not really started yet. I've got the Engineers here, just undercoated and built, and then based I've got Mainspring on a rock, I've got Ratchet, and then again we've got a bit of a converted Velocity. This was kind of a mistake. I was trying to reposition her legs so she didn't look like everybody else's, and ended up snapping both off at the knees. So to rescue it, I've tried to make her look like she scored a goal and doing a knee slider. It does look a bit rude actually instead, like she's just so yeah, we'll not focus on that too much, but that's my Velocity. And then that's the state of Colossus. So he's not even built properly yet, but I'll come on to that. So maybe in this series I'll start to paint these up, and you can see how I get from this point to the finished articles. And then we come on to Brewers. So I've got Scum there with a bit of a barrel for a drink next to it. And then we've got, I always get these two confused, Hooper with the hat on, and again a slight conversion just so that he looks a little bit different to Tapper. I've cut off his hand that was holding his big stick and made him hold it in one hand, so it looks a bit more like a baseball bat. I think that looks pretty cool. And then we have Captain Tapper, and finally we've got Friday. So for these guys I know I'm missing some models, so I will purchase those when I get the chance, and especially the Season 2 stuff. MASH looks fantastic, so I'll be picking MASH up very, very soon. So that's all the teams I have for you. The only other things to slightly touch on is my 4 balls. I've got 4 balls, so they're here in front. So this is my main ball. I've got an owl on a post just to make it easy to pick up on the table and move about. And then this was a special sort of limited edition ball that we got from Don't Touch the Hair, which was on Halloween. So that looks pretty cool to play with. Next up I've just got a Brewers one that I'm starting with a few kegs. And then finally one that's monotone chrome, like to go with Morticians. I do also have Spigot in resin, just in a box, so I need to build him up I had a bit of a miscast on him, so I've only just managed to replace it with Steamforged. But he'll be getting built soon. So I hope you've liked looking at those. I'll come back just to do a bit of a summary at the end and see what we're going to touch on in the next episode. I hope you've enjoyed that, guys. So this is all... Sorry guys, I forgot I need to touch on the goals that I've got before I do the summary. I've actually gone full circle on goals because when I first started I wanted to make sort of the biggest, the most elaborate goal I could think of, which was kind of where this Mortician's Union style goal came from. And I have taken it to quite a few tournaments and things. The only issue I find now is it's not particularly practical, both for transporting, as you can imagine, and for actually playing the game, because what I tend to use goals for now, and I've seen most people use their goal tokens for, is for a place to store their momentum counter. So they tend to kind of need to be a flat surface. So this was more of an elaborate one I had for Fisherman. But as I said, I've now gone full circle, and obviously being involved in Guild Ball Informer, we've got these lovely gold tokens which will be available at some point. We've got a black and a white one. We've got the Battle Hammer one from when those guys came up to Skaldic, which is ace. And this is one that I've made recently. Again, it's just a base, just a 50mm base that I've painted up and put a bit of flowers on. But I quite like this one because a D20 or a D12 will sit quite nicely on there, just showing what my momentum is. And then I've gone from using this big Fisherman one, so I'm going to do this other Fisherman one just a bit flatter that I can fit a momentum counter on. So I've actually got an abundance of goal tokens. What I do like about this game is the amount of flexibility and creativity you can have on things like goal tokens. The number of ones I've seen at tournaments and just in friendly local gaming stuff and on the internet. It's just such a broad range of things that you can do, and just adds another sort of hobby element to it that you don't see in any other games. Also, I think going forward, a lot of the YouTube guys, the social media guys, the WCWW guys will be coming out with goal tokens, and I think also in the future there'll probably be tournaments that have specific goal tokens. There may even be ones from Steamforged themselves, and they could become sort of collectibles. It'd be quite nice to have quite a lot of gold tokens from different tournaments you've been to. So I think that'd be quite a good idea as well. So now I'll just do a bit of a summary. And so that was it, guys. You've seen all the teams that I have. There's another 4, as I mentioned, that I've painted up. 3 Jay Finnegan's got, and 1 somebody else in the world, Andy Scott, bought for the Morticians. I've got pictures of those, so I'll pop them on the end of this video just so that you can see them. But again, they're on the Steamforged hobby log that I've got going there if you want to have a look. I hope you've enjoyed that. It's just a bit of an introduction into this show that I'm gonna hopefully do, so please put in a comment and let me know what you think. If there's anything specific that you want me to talk about or to show you of how I do things, the more suggestions the better. And I hope you've just enjoyed seeing a little bit into my collection. Cheers, guys, and please comment, share, subscribe, like this if you do, and I'll see you next time either on the Q&A or the next one of these. Cheers, guys.